Hey, what's going on, everybody? PDF44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so last night I jumped out the window, told y'all exactly what I felt about this situation in regards to the Lakers, thinking radically. This morning I feel pretty much the same way, to be completely honest with you, even though I know I sounded a little crazy last night. I still think that the Lakers should fire Frank Vogel right away, and I do think if there's a possibility, any possibility, which I do not believe is possible, but if there were to be a possibility, that we could swap Russell Westbrook for Ben Simmons, I'd be ready to do that. I know that Ben Simmons creates a lot of question marks in regards to his personality, where his head is at, and what all ultimately he will bring to the table offensively in terms of shooting the ball, which we know the answer to, which is not a whole lot, to say the least. He's not going to attempt 3-point shots, so that could affect our spacing dramatically, and that could be a negative thing. But because we have Malik Monk, because we have THT, because we have Carmelo Anthony, because we have all of these different shooters that within this offense really are just standing around waiting for a guy to pass to him. And I think that having a secondary facilitator is ultimately why we brought Russell Westbrook here, since LeBron James is starting to have injury issues in his older age. You know, Ben Simmons provides us not only what it is that we're trying to accomplish there, but yet another almost 7-footer in a starting lineup, which makes us significantly bigger than we are right now. And obviously one of the best defensive players in the world in Ben Simmons, who's going to automatically affect your defense in a positive way. And I think about the combination of him and Anthony Davis down there defensively, and my mind goes to how difficult we would be to guard for teams like Phoenix, Denver, etc. Being that we'd be such a big lineup. And I don't really care that Ben Simmons doesn't shoot the ball in our offense. I really don't. It's one of those situations where, yes, does he pose the threat of shooting the ball? No, he does not. And that can create a lot of spacing issues. But I think you offset that with the ability for him to get the ball to people like AD in better positioning than we are right now. Our turnovers should come down significantly. Assists should be up. What we saw yesterday, this is the deal. The reason why I'm so up on what I'm saying is because I watched the Chicago Bulls yesterday with 3 playmakers making plays for one another. Basically 4, really. But I don't look at Zach LaVine as a playmaker. He was more so the recipient of all 3 of those guys continuing to be unselfish. Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, and Alex Caruso passed the rock as good as any trio in the basketball right now. And that's what you want your team to look like if Russell Westbrook's playing at his best. It's a lot of that. Players making plays for each other, and ultimately all 3 of them, or 2 in our case, making AD look good. That's what we want. And I think Ben Simmons gives us a much better look at that because of how the decision making he makes in terms of passing the rock, which is superior to most. He's up there with Lonzo, versus the poor decision making of Russell Westbrook. And as well, of course, defensively, the same exact type of thing. So it's like, for me, it's all about, if I'm bringing in Ben Simmons, can we overcome the spacing issues that he presents by not shooting the ball? And given the fact that LeBron James is also not considered a shooter, how inept would we be on the offensive end with him on the floor at the same time with LeBron, being that they're similar players, similar size, similar everything? But my answer would be, put them together and find out, because we're trying something that isn't working right now and we know it's failing. That's where my head is. We're going to try something else. And I know Ben Simmons' contract is not the prettiest thing in the world, to say the absolute least, but both of these contracts suck, honestly. And I'd rather have Ben's, because Ben is younger and he's better defensively, and we are a bad defensive team. Now see, if Russell Westbrook was on a team that fit him, and we had a coach that knew how to exploit him and make him look as good as he's supposed to look, then we wouldn't have these issues. If we could bring the players to Russell Westbrook that would make this team better, that would make him look good, this would not be an issue. But this conversation is necessary because we can't do those things. We don't have the cap space to make this team better without doing something that we have no business doing. You know what I mean? Honestly. Because of the contracts of Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and of course Russell Westbrook's. So if you had to choose which one of those contracts you'd rather give up on, I don't think we have to think too hard on that. And understand that Russell Westbrook's older again. He's in his 30s. So it's not like he's going to be getting any younger or getting any better as this thing progresses. Nor is the fit going to get any better as this thing progresses, because he doesn't appear to be able to play off the ball like that. I think Ben Simmons ain't going to play off the ball like that necessarily either. But again, super elite on the defensive end. Super elite versus Westbrook, who doesn't play defense at all. So you understand that, yes, Ben Simmons brings his horrible contract and his attitude issue, for which we do not know what really to think of, where his mind is at. But we also know where he wants to be is ultimately the Los Angeles Lakers. He literally said that before he was even drafted. The first thing that came to his mind is trying to get to California. This is where he wants to be. He wants to be in this uniform. And we also know he's a clutch client, for which obviously LeBron James. You ain't got to say much there. And if I'm not mistaken, they have a very good relationship. Do not quote me on that. But at the end of the day, do I think LeBron James and Ben Simmons can win? Absolutely. Absolutely. Why? Because Ben Simmons is a passer and a defender. And LeBron James can play off the ball much better than a guy like Russell Westbrook can. And I'll tell you something else. Ben Simmons, like Russell Westbrook, specializes in making bigs look good. He and Joel Embiid play off one another, not as well as you'd like, but you see the success they've had together as a tandem defensively. I think you'll see the same with him and AD. I think, as I said, him and AD would be defensively monstrous, and I think you'd see some of the best, most precise passes coming out of two players that you'll see in the West Coast. If we put Ben together with LeBron James, you can't even fathom the type of passing ability that we'd be able to put down there. You know what I mean? Some of the looks that you would get and the open court opportunities with him being as athletic as he is. And mind you this, of course, bringing in Ben Simmons, you lose nothing athletically because he is explosive as well. You know what I mean? He's not Russell Westbrook in terms of his motor and how he's going. But again, you're going to level that out with his efficiency on the defensive end versus Russell's. So it all makes sense to me so long as Ben Simmons, two things has to happen. Ben Simmons' mind has to be right. And we would have to have Frank Vogel completely removed from the situation. See, the problem is it don't matter what player you bring to the situation. They're going to look bad under this coach. That's what I've come to terms with. After 3 years of this, everybody looks better after they get out of his system. Everybody who comes here just significantly gets worse. It just is what it is. The stuff that we're running out there is why, in my opinion, Russell Westbrook looks as bad as he does, playing the worst basketball of his entire career. And you can't blame that on the presence of LeBron James, because LeBron ain't out there and he still looks horrible. We're running things repeatedly that don't work. We're putting players in lineups on the floor that do not work. We're not winning, and it's starting to pile up at this point. We're a 500 basketball club getting ready to go on a huge road trip for which we're not favored to win. And now we got LeBron James kind of rushed back from injury. From what I understand, he will be back on whatever that day is, Friday I believe it is, when we play the Boston Celtics. His injury may be healing properly, it may not, but I'm pretty sure he's tired of seeing what he's seeing here. I think he's had enough. And I definitely do not blame him, because all of us are tired of it too. And we don't really see a solution. That's why I'm coming up with all these radical ideas. I heard somebody say we trade him for John Wall. I think John Wall would be a better fit than Russell Westbrook at this point. I think Russell Westbrook's much healthier than John Wall, and I would not be willing to make that trade myself. But if we made that trade, I could totally see us playing better basketball than we are right now. I could tell you that. If we bring in John Wall, we will play better basketball. Because John Wall's going to hit a jump shot. John Wall's not going to do some of those ridiculous passes. John Wall's a fantastic defender. And John Wall is very athletic as well. Super fast, one of the fastest players in the game. Even after injury, he's still one of the fastest players in the game. So, at this point, I don't see any problem with upgrading at the point guard position, cutting our losses, stopping the bleeding. When something doesn't naturally fit, yeah, you can have hopes and dreams, and you could say they're going to figure it out. But honest to God, there's nothing to figure out. This is a bad fit. There's nothing to figure out. You got a guy who can't play off the ball and another guy who should have the ball in his hands. The guy who can't play off the ball continues to turn the ball over at a high clip without being effective on the defensive end to make up for it. It just doesn't work, man. It doesn't work. Now, if Russell Westbrook was on a better contract, like I said, we can bring the players to him. Then we can put ourselves in a position to have everything that we need so that he can just fit right in. We got to sit him down. We got another guy come in, play 30 minutes at point guard. It's cool, because that's the role he needs right now. I'm sorry. We're there. So, And I'm not saying he ain't a high level athlete. I'm not saying if you don't put him in the right offense, you put him in the Mike D'Antoni offense, he's gonna average triple double. He's still gonna. You trade him back to Washington, he's gonna be the player he was in Washington last year. I'm telling you, it's Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel is why Russell Westbrook looks as bad as he does. And Russell Westbrook has to take accountability, of course, for some of the turnovers and decisions that he's making. But ultimately, it's because the offense is so trash that you can actually zone in on him, and he has to force. And he's forced into situations that he otherwise it shouldn't be in the first place. He's being asked to do things that don't accentuate his strengths, and most importantly, make him easy to read. A lot of the passes that we're making are telegraph passes. Well, we can blame Russell Westbrook for those telegraph passes, but why are they on the floor in that positioning to begin with? Why would he be lined up over there? Those are the questions that we need to start asking. Why would we even be trying to make a cross-court pass? Like, at some point in time, you don't look at the player and say, okay, stop doing stuff like that. You say to the coaches, okay, line these guys over there so that pass isn't even possible. And those are the things that we're having trouble with. Those are the things that Frankie V is having issues accomplishing. And it's like we're continuing to see the same things. That's where I'm like, nah, we can't do this. We can't do this. You got to try stuff when things aren't working. You know, I don't care if you got to play awkward basketball, even if it's something like giving Malik Monk 3 corner threes in a row. You got to try to run people off screens or something. I don't care what you do. Just don't do the same stuff you've been doing. And that's the issue. That's the issue. We just don't have the talent for that. You know, Kent Bazemore, I understand he's been struggling a lot. You know, I understand that our roster is limited. Hey, it's a lot. It's not a lot of options, but what we're doing is not working. He was struggling. He shouldn't be out there. Should not be out there. Simple as that. You know what I mean? I hate to be that guy, but I truly believe in stopping the bleeding, and as it pertains to when things start to fail, when you can see where it's headed, you don't let it get to that point. You stop that right there. So fire him, trade him, and let's stop the bleeding. Let's get this right on track, because we don't have the ability to be patient like that. If this season fails, we only got 2 left. And mind you this, and I say that with LeBron James' contract and Anthony Davis's contracts, mind you this, the Lakers have given LeBron James one opportunity at a championship with the things that we put together. Now, granted, a lot of that you would say is his fault since he has so much power over the team. But at the end of the day, some of these moves just should not have been made. That Drummond move last season, that should not have been done. That shouldn't have been done. We shouldn't even brought him in, let alone played him over Trez. He's not a better player than Trez. He's not. They're different players, and they shouldn't even be on the same team, let alone one sitting for the other. I mean, that's an organizational issue. That's not just Frank. You know what I mean? A lot of it's Rob. And I know Rob is limited because, like I said, you're trying to put together a team with 3 max contracts. You got to take what you can get. But some of these guys, like, do they have anything left? You know, you're getting jump shooters, buddy. I mean, are you sure your coach is the right coach for the personnel? And that's where we failed. You could put players on the floor all you want, but you got the wrong guy out there putting together the schemes. It's not going to work out. So, first order of business, fire Frank Vogel. Must be done. That has to be done. You guys are going to drag your feet probably till February, but I'm telling you, the decision should have been made last night. And I don't believe in dragging my feet. That would have been done today. And as far as Russell Westbrook, I'm not certain we'll be able to trade him at all. That's a pipe dream. I don't believe Philadelphia would ever consider taking his contract from us for Ben Simmons. Ain't no way in hell they can do that. So that's just a pipe dream. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that I'm wrong about this and that we would be able to pull that off. And if so, again, something I would do today. Stop the bleeding. You know, Russell Westbrook, it's a fail, fam. Period. And it ain't because he ain't a great player. It's just because we don't have what we need and we can't get it. So we got to get rid of him. It's that simple. Some come to conclusions later and earlier than some. I've already come to this conclusion. And mind you this. Is there a scenario where the Lakers pull it all together and win a championship? Yeah, I can honestly say that in this camera right now. But there are so many more scenarios where we don't. So many more. The odds of us winning right now are bad. getting worse. And when LeBron James can change that to a degree, but at 36, 37 years of age, it would be wise to not put him in that position. Ain't that what we're talking about? What position Russell Westbrook's put in? Don't put LeBron in that situation. That's a cross-court pass, so to speak, waiting to happen. That's going to get intercepted. Stop the bleeding. Make the changes. My name is BDF44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.